Hello FlossTube, my name is Tamara. Welcome to my channel Tamara Cross Stitch. Today's video is going to be a video just about one design, one project, which you're going to see from the very beginning until the very end. I didn't plan to have a video about just one project, just meanwhile I was stitching it, the idea came to me. So let's see what this is going to be about. And I want to start a new project which I was kind of convincing myself for a long time if I need it or not. But the thing is that it doesn't let me leave. That's why I said that okay, I'm going to do it. It's a dimension kit design. It's called Placid Picnic. Placid in this case, it's a quiet picnic, nice picnic, quiet picnic. It's an old design. It's a 30-year-old design. It's an out-of-print design, and I saw it being stitched like years ago. An Armenian, I think, stitcher, Russian-speaking, but she lives she's Armenian. She showed it. I liked it very much, but at that time I wasn't stitching, like dimensions, and I told myself that okay, once it's beautiful, it's very beautiful. Once upon a time when I'm going to stitch dimensions, I'm going to stitch it. And like a couple of years ago, when I kind of started liking stitching dimensions, I told myself, okay, I'm going to stitch this one. Let me buy it. And surprise, surprise, because sometimes the kits are out of print, but you can find them for decent prices. This one is not a decent price. It's almost $500. I don't know why. It's just, it doesn't have anything special. It's the same like chart, Aida, and threads. And on US eBay, almost all the time there is one for sale, it stays there. Buying for this price from there, it means like paying import charges. And it's a lot. And I told myself, okay, I'll wait patiently when it's going to be on our eBay, and maybe I'll make a good deal. Last year, it was the first time when I saw it on our eBay. One of them popped out, and the initial price was 120, I think. So no, pounds, not a bad price, I would tell you, not a bad price for such a rare kit. And I was even happy, saying, okay, I'm going to participate. Okay, in the end, the bidding went out to 325, okay, 320 for sure, pounds. When you calculate, it's the same, almost 400 and something dollars. And I said, no, it's too much. And I started thinking about stitching it from scratch, because I was given the cross stitch saga for this design. I found the scan for this design, because when it's a rare one and you cannot buy for decent money, you have to deal with other methods. And I was thinking about stitching it from scratch, but with dimensions threads. Okay, I don't have so many dimensions threads as leftovers, because I haven't stitched so many dimensions kits. And when I saw it again, so it popped out on our eBay. I think now it's still being sold, at least at the moment I'm filming this, for 300 and I don't know, 50, 40, 20, I don't remember. Now it's 330 and something. And it wasn't bidding. It was like, you can buy it. I was looking at it, thinking about it. And then I decided that it's better for me to find like a piece of fabric, to find the threads and to stitch it according to the charts I have, because how do I say, the sanity of a cross stitcher told me that it doesn't worth paying so much money. And the decision was taken like a week ago, and during a week I just got ready for everything. And also good thing was that on a marketplace I saw free kits, dimensions kits in needlepoint being sold. You know that needlepoint for dimensions sometimes comes in this cotton threads, sometimes comes in wool threads. So this one was in cotton threads, and there were a lot of threads. I didn't know if they had the threads which I need for my project, but I said it's a good investment. It was like £5 each. They were free. Purchased all of them, they came, and I started the hard work of like looking for threads from the leftovers I have, from the kits I purchased, and I managed kind of like this. So there are 4 bundles. Initially, I made like 4 bundles. I managed to find the threads. But there are like 4 positions of like 4 colors of threads, which are for the outer frame, which come in kind of like this color. So there you need a lot of strands, how they are called. And I didn't have enough. That's why with the original ones I had, not enough, but I tried to look for DMC counterpart, and I found, you know, like I found the exact DMC match, and I purchased with some DMC skeins so that they would be from the same batch, they wouldn't be different. Also, speaking about the threads, there are a lot of metallic, like these ones. You know, this if you want to replace or like stitch from scratch dimensions, you should know that from Kreinik Japan number 1002J is the one which is exactly like those in the Kreinik in dimensions kits. But I won't use this one because there are many cases when I have to use like 3 2 strands instead of this, and it's not very easy to work with this one. It's kind of annoying. I'm going to use the beloved treasure braid. So I have like this is PB25, PB03, PB01. This is also 01. Somewhere it should be 02. I should see which one is going to match. You see like this color, and then mostly it's going to be 1 or 2, I think, not the third one. The one which comes more yellowish gold. So I'm going to use a treasure braid for gold. The fabric. Originally, it has this kind of ivory cream fabric. It's Aida 14th count. This is from one of my dimensions kits. It would be enough, but I don't want to stitch for on Aida. I just took it for comparison to look for myself for some fabric. I have Brittany Lugana, but I don't want to stitch on Brittany Lugana. It's not my favorite texture of fabric to stitch on. I also chose, this is Zweigart Cashel linen, is cream 222 if you take the shade number. But again, I don't want to stitch on linen because there are a lot of half stitches, and they come in 3 and 4 threads, and you know, like I don't like stitching this one on linen. And my final choice is going to be Jobelin ivory. The color is ivory, and I have here a 1/4 yard. It's going to be more than enough. So, and this one is 28th count, if I didn't say. On the 28th count of Jobelin, the design is smaller than it would be on the 14th count of Aida. It's proven. This thing is proven. And in the key, it says that you should stitch like in 3 strands. I mean the cross stitch, the usual cross stitch in 3 strands. This was made because, you know, like the Aida 14th count is a large count, and in those times when there were the kits, they were not like made in China, they were made in US, they were US dimensions. The thread, the structure of the thread was a little bit thinner, and that's why they asked to stitch in 3 threads so that it would look nice when you are going to stitch here. In my case, I will have the count smaller. That's why I'm going to dare to stitch in 2 strands, not in 3 but in 2. My only problem is that there are some blends where I need to stitch. There are blends which contain 3 threads, yes, and they contain, for example, 2 brown and white, 2 darker brown, 1 lighter brown. In this case, I have to think what to do. If it's going to be half stitch, I think I'm going to do that blend, but in case I'm going to have like cross stitch in 3 threads and I will have a blend, I have such cases, not a lot, but I have, don't remember how many. I have to think what to do. So maybe use 1 thread of one color, 1 thread of other color, but this may influence on the design per total. So this one is going to be decided. There are 2 or 3 cases where, for example, the key says that I need 5 strands and I have just 4 strands of that color. I hope it's going to be enough, because in my case, again, I'm going to stitch in less strands and I will need less thread. And yes, this is what I am intending to do. So far, I'm not going to publish this material because I'm not sure what is going to happen. When I'm going to start stitching and I'll have a piece of it stitched and I'll see that it works, it looks nice, I'm going to start showing it to you what is happening. So yes, I'm going to start stitching it and you'll see what is going to happen. And these are my first thousands stitches and half stitches on this design. How would I say? The design is not so easy to stitch, but surprisingly I am going pretty fast in stitching it. I started from the center. The center of the design is kind of like here, and it was possible to go and stitch the ladies, the young ladies, and I thought to myself that I'm going to stitch them, I'm going to back stitch them, then stitch the other things. Yes, this is my how to say thing when I'm stitching a design and I have like I don't know, people, animals, houses, to stitch the main thing which is in the middle and then stitch the background. Yes, and I know that the background sometimes can be how do I say, not interesting to stitch, but nevertheless, when I see the main character, or I see the main reason I stitch for me it's much easier to stitch the rest. So in this case, I started like stitching this lady, I stitched like the second lady, the basket, and thinking about the back stitch, looking into the chart, I just realized that actually I have to stitch a little bit, at least a little bit of background, so that I could make the outline back stitch of them. And this is when it really started, because you know, like I took green color, one symbol, and I stitched here a few half stitches, and I saw that those half stitches, they are here as well, let's say. Yes, and I already had stitched this part, and those, they were like here, so I could stitch them, connect them here, and stitch a couple of hundreds of those half stitches which are with that symbol. In such a way, I started having like more and more surface stitched, and I started liking it. And in such a way, I have almost 20% of the design stitched, 19% for sure it's stitched. And I decided that I'm going to stitch the scene, which is the main scene, and there is a beautiful frame in this design, but I'm going to stitch it afterwards. Yes, I understand that it can be how they say, boring, but this is my decision, because I don't know, this is how I feel that I would like to stitch. So at this moment I can do the back stitch on like both young ladies, on this basket of theirs, on this like towel or napkin with apples, and this one is going to be grapes. I can do the back stitch, but I decided that I'm going to fill in those stitches here. They are like some purplish, I mean like some flowers. And then I'm going to cross stitch. By the way, there is a lot of cross stitch in this design. I'm stitching by I mean like with Cross Stitch Saga with an app. It's 6,500 of cross stitch. Like if you are going to take according to how Saga is giving it, that's a lot. Honestly, that's a lot, and that's a lot of cross stitch, you know, where in the frame, not so much in the work, in the central design, but in the frame there is a lot of cross stitch, and 259 French knots. Yes, a lot of them. So so when I started here in the center, I like covered a lot of it. I said that I'm going to do the back stitch. Next one, I'm going to do the back stitch for sure. And then I decided that I'm going to go into this corner because it's almost covered, because here it should be already the frame. I reached the down part of like the design. Here on top it should be the frame. Here it should be the frame, you see. So this one is the first like angle, or how they say, which I'm going to cover. So after doing the back stitch, I'm going to go to this part and do it. There is kind of in my mind, I don't know why, but I divided the design into two. So here is like the river, and this side of the river is not river, spring, I don't know how to call it, very little like water flowing like this it should be. So it's the girls, the picnic scene, and then there is a tree or some trees there. Then on the other part there are like again trees. There is a bench here, but this one is I think it's going to be smaller when I'm going to think that to finish that part. So yes, surprisingly nice design for me. It's a bit I wouldn't say tiring, but not quick when I'm deciding which symbol, which color to use. As I said, I'm stitching with Cross Stitch Saga, and that one helps a lot. It's much easier to stitch, but the Cross Stitch Saga, the symbols, they don't coincide exactly with the symbols from the original chart, and they are like transformed into DMC. They are not with in original dimensions threads. Then I have the scan of the original chart, and I'm looking in the scan of the original chart to check this symbol. Then I'm going to the key of the original chart to see what color is it. And in the old dimension kits, they didn't write the number of the color. They were telling you like if this is the salmon pink, if this is dark pink, brown, dark brown, darker brown. And then I'm going to the other like list where it's the bundles of like threads and like the name of the thread and the number of the thread, because I'm stitching with the original dimensions threads which I collected. Kind of I'm trying to remake the original. I'm trying to not remake, I'm trying to be as much as possible close to the original I mean like design. Yes, and stitching, so I'm stitching on job lane. As I said, stitching on job lane is easy. Even I can allow myself to count and go like here, go like there. It's dangerous. I know this thing is dangerous because you can make mistakes, but I risked here in many cases, and so far it was okay. I mean, like, you see, you are going like up here, and if you are continuing stitching like the this part, and you're not connecting it with this part to check if you are right, you can make mistake and everything can go wrong. You know what I mean. That's why, yes, so far it's okay. So far I haven't made mistakes. So far I'm okay with the counting, and I hope it's going to be such a quick stitch in continue. Like in the next days, because so far I'm stitching this design without like stitching anything else. And of course I'm going to film and show it to you how this one is going on. And I am ready to share the next progress on this work with you, on this project with you. The thing is that the design is being stitched by me so quickly that I decided that I want to film. I want everything I'm going to film about this project. I'm going to include into one video. I know that this kind of video usually is boring, but I have never had this form of video where in one video I include the progress of one design. I have a couple of videos with just one design, but those are master classes, and that's different. I decided in doing so because the progress is very quick. When I'm starting stitching it, I'm stitching it pretty quickly. And also on the days when I'm stitching, and on the days I'm stitching this design, I'm stitching just this design. That's why I decided to set up my personal marathon, how would I say, to see how many days I will need to stitch gold collection dimensions. Yeah, because they are considered to be large, difficult. So for me, it's kind of a race, personal race, let's say so, to see how this one is going to end up. So far, from the the scene, I mean, half of it is stitched because the middle comes here. Here is not going to be stitched, and I finished everything what is here, and I even made the outline, I mean the frame, which I could make. And you know, the strange thing is that here is just 35%. So I don't know why logically I would expect to be almost 50, but no, it's 35. That's why I suppose that in the frame, which I have to stitch, there is a lot of back stitch and probably a lot of cross stitch, because those percent are going to be there. I kind of stitched one part because in my mind, you know, like this scene, I divided into two parts, because there is this little river, I don't know how to call it here, and I'm kind of considering that what's on this side, it's half, and what's on this side is another half, which this half is smaller than this half. And what's here, I finished stitching. For the last time you saw, so I backstitched the young ladies. Quite not difficult, but long process, because it's an old kit, and the backstitch is not like the lines, they're not drawn like thick green line, thin green line. They are saying thick green line, stitch this one in so many strands, thin green line, stitch that one in so many strands, the remaining green lines, thin green line, stitch the horizon. Yeah, so I had to be super careful so that I would stitch with the correct color, because I used, I think, at least 5 thread colors to stitch the back stitch. Also, I made the French knots, which were supposed to be here. Again, different colors, and usually when I'm making the French knots, I'm kind of like twisting the thread on the needle, you know, like when you're doing the French knot, like twice I'm twisting. Here it said to use the number of threads they are recommending and twist once, unless they say to twist more. Something like this. For example, in this lady's dress, this French knots, they come in 1 thread, 1 twist. The buttons, for example, here they come 1 thread, 1 twist. Here they come 1 thread, 2 twists, if I'm not wrong. Then what else? The grapes. You see the grapes. Here is 4 threads, 2 twists. The flowers, the same color, like purple, it comes like 4 threads, 1 twist. Yeah, so it was like kind of like this, but still it's beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. I'm very happy that this one is happening. And I haven't finished this one here because I didn't want to count. I don't have anything stitched here to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. That's why I'm going to stitch this part, and meanwhile I'm going to close this one, and I will let you know how this one is going on. And here we are. I have the next stitched part, and you would say a lot of it, and I would say the same, a lot of it, but believe it or not, this is according to the percentage from Cross Stitch Saga, 49 and 92%. So I don't have even 50%. Okay, it's 50, but it's 50%. For me, it's shocking, honestly, because I realized that the frame is going to take a super lot of how they say, stitches and percentage, and I'm kind of a little bit afraid that my how they say, speed and my willingness to stitch this work is going to go down, but I will see how this one is going to go on. So from the last time I showed it to you, I kind of like stitched everything here. Almost everything is being stitched like in half stitch. So just here it comes a little bit of cross stitch, but the rest of it is half stitch, and half stitch is easier to stitch, at least in my case. So I'm kind of like how they say, for in a shorter time you cover more how they say, more fabric, because the cross stitch saga considers a half stitch as a half stitch. If I do 2 half stitches, then it's a cross stitch. You see, anyway, till the end it's I have to do 100, for example, half stitches, so that saga would consider them 50 cross stitches, something like this. But still the good part, as I said, is that this one, like the half stitches, it covers very quickly the thread. I like it very, very much. So this is like the old how they say, old style dimensions, Victorian ladies. Beautiful, very beautiful. And yes, just I'm shocked, honestly. I'm shocked because I have finished like stitching the last stitches here in the frame a few minutes ago, and I told myself, let me film this and then I'm going to go on stitching. So less than 50%, it's like the whole the most important thing. Yeah. Okay, I hope I'm going to do the frame easily. And this one, for example, this one is made of blend with metallic thread, and I'm using Rainbow Gallery Treasure Braid, which is considered to be an easy metallic thread to stitch. Nevertheless, I wouldn't say that I like it a lot stitching this blend, and I have 2,600 and a bit more cross stitches to do with this blend in the frame. So yeah, God help me. And this design officially for myself it's a race, I would say. So I'm curious to find out how many days it will take, stitching days it will take me to stitch a gold collection dimensions kit or design, let's say. This one has 29,100 and a bit cross stitches. So it's it's 29,000, because I wouldn't say it's 30, it's 29, because 100 and a bit, it's a little bit. So 29,000 cross stitches. I don't know how much has a usual design, but I think it's around this this one. It depends how much cross stitch, how much back stitch. It depends a lot of how much back stitch the design has, by the way. And yeah, so yeah, I'm going to try to film it like closer so that you'll see better the stitches, the design, and I hope next time when I'm going to film, it's going to be another big chunk stitched. And I decided to show it to you, the design, one more time, because I'm stitching now the frame, and if you remember, I was like wondering why this frame is 50% of the design, more than 50% of the design, because why? Because this frame is huge, is big, and there is a lot to stitch, and it's full of cross stitches. So here, at least here, there are a lot of half stitches, you see, and they were stitched easily. But here there are like mainly cross stitch and half stitches just here, just a little bit like to fill in. I did the like lower part of the frame, it's done. So half of the frame, more than half now, but half of it is done with everything. So I just know how to work so that I would do it like nicely, quickly and correctly. So first what I do, I am stitching the blend, which is the gold metallic thread with the cotton thread. And I understood that when I'm doing, this is the skeleton, I have to be very careful so that I wouldn't make mistakes, because if I make here mistakes, the other ones which I'm layering above, they are also going to be wrong. That's why I'm like checking myself like every step. And if I'm going to finish like this part, I will have like the blend which comes with gold, it's going to be finished, and this is a great deal. And then I'm kind of like continuing. There are 4 colors of thread used in this frame, 4 colors, because the yellow comes like cross stitch like inside, and then comes as a half stitch here at the background. Back stitch also, it's a lot, but it's easy to be done. I did it like the back stitch for this one, I did it in one day, and it was like 1,000 and something stitches like in Saga. Also these things here, I don't know if you see them, like this thing, you see. So the back stitch here is made with golden threads. Inside it's like 2 colors of red, dark red. This one comes in green bluish, this one. And in the middle it's supposed to be French knot with also made with metallic threads. And I tried, I'm telling you honestly that I tried like twice to make it with Rainbow Gallery with the metallic threads, but it didn't look nice, it didn't look neat. That's why I took like petite beads from by Mill Hill, the golden petites, and I just attached them, and they look beautiful. So I'm going to attach the petites. And that's it. Oh, and what else? I made a mistake here. Like this, you see, I was looking at this very reddish brown, or very orangey brown, I would say, which is here. And kind of I wasn't happy with it. And when I checked it with the chart, apparently I used a different shade of brown. I'm not very happy with it, that's why, and I used it, the most interesting thing is that I used it here as well. But here, I think it looks nice because here is the soil, and you know, the soil can have like this color. But here, I don't like how it comes in the combination with the other ones, that's why I'm going to try to rip it off. I'm not afraid of ripping it off because it's not a lot, but the thing is that when it comes in combination with other things, it can be difficult, but I'm going to do my best. I hope I'm going to manage to do it. And I would change with the right color, because this is a part which I don't like. I'm not happy with. I cannot, like, you see, these ones look very nice, like the trunks of the other trees. So I'm going to try like to replace here as well, and I hope it's going to look nice. Here I'm not going to rip off because I think it's going to be my thing, but here I'm going to repair the mistake. Otherwise, I suppose it's 4 more days of work. I'm not sure, but I'll see. And this beautiful design, this beautiful project is going to be ready. And that's it. I did it. I stitched the design. Let me go step by step. Maybe it's going to be useful for some of you if you, in case you wanted to stitch this design and like me, you don't have the kit. So this is dimensions, gold collection. The number of the kit is, number of the design is 3798, if it helps. It's called Placid Picnic. It's designed, I think it's a picture by Karen Avery. And on the preview, I found it's written 1995. So it's a 30 years old design. It was never reprinted. At least I don't know about a reprint. And for a reason, this is a very expensive kit. So you know that out of print dimensions, they are not cheap, yes? And some of them are rare, some of them are like difficult to buy. This one, as an interesting fact, that you can see it on eBay, at least one, sometimes there are two, but they are super expensive. For me, almost $500 for a dimensions is too much. And after a year thinking of like, because I like the design very much, I wasn't ready to pay the money, you know, and I found the chart on internet. I had the cross stitch saga. I have been like given the cross stitch saga, so I knew the what threads I need to buy. That's why for a year I was thinking what to do. Then I decided, I just kitted it by myself and I started doing it. And I stitched it very quickly, and you'll find out how quickly. Okay, let me tell you some technical details. So the fabric here is, originally it should be Aida 14th count. It's cream, at least visually, because I haven't seen the kit in my, like, how they say, live. I haven't seen the kit live at all. So it should be cream Aida. I replaced the 14th count Aida with Jobelin 28th count ivory. The color is ivory. In my case, the length, the size of the design is 39 by 29. So, but because on the preview they say it should be 46 by 36 centimeters. So it's bigger it's smaller, sorry, in my case. The threads I used are original dimensions threads. So whenever I'm stitching dimensions, I'm keeping the leftovers. I'm not throwing them. I'm not like kind of like selling them. I'm keeping the leftovers. And I bought 3 needlepoint kits which had a lot of threads, and I used those threads as well, some of those threads as well. So here they are divided in bundles, as they should be like in the original kit. If you see spaces where there is nothing, yes, some of the threads are still on the organizer because I haven't like taken them out of the organizer. And in 3 cases I still had to go to my new kits, look for that thread, and take I needed like 1 thread, 2 threads, and I went to my new kits, I took those threads and I used it to finish it. So, and in the frame there were 3 shades of brown, where they asked for a lot of strands, because it's a lot of stitching with brown. I had those colors, but I didn't have as many as they were asking. That's why I replaced them with DMC threads, because I have the original threads. You see, I have the original shades of threads. I was able like to compare with live DMC, and I replaced them. I wouldn't say it was a bad replacement. At least I'm happy with that. For example, this yellow, you see, this is 745 from Dimensions. So yeah. What else? The gold metallic thread, because here it should be a lot of metallic thread. The original one which comes in the kits, in Dimensions kits, it's this kind of thread. So if you want to replace them with with the exact thread which should be, this is Krainik Japan number 1002J. I'm not the best fan, and you had to use, for example, 2 threads like this in a combination, but I decided by the way, that I'm going to use DMC diamond. I have 2 spools like this and I'm not using them, and I said, okay, 2, it's a lot and it's going to be enough. Let me start using them because I have to use them somewhere. because you have to make a combination, blend, yes, this thread with one cotton thread, brown cotton thread. I started like stitching where it was the frame, and it looked like kind of like, you know, greenish gold. There is such a thing, like when you're like, there is a gold which has a greenish kind of, I didn't like at all. I said, okay, I wanted to use it. Unfortunately, I cannot because I don't like it. And from the Rainbow Gallery Treasure Braid PB 01, 02, 03, they all come golds. I just took that cotton thread and I was trying to make the blend and see how it looks. The one which I liked the most, it was PB03. So till the end, I stayed with PB03. And for the whole design, I needed two cards. All of them. I used totally all of them. I just kept so that I wouldn't forget. And from this one, the third one, I used for 420 cross stitches, like a blend, but it was used for 420 cross stitches. I used one thread everywhere. I didn't use two threads anywhere, just one thread. And for back stitch, I also needed it. So in case you want to replace it with treasure braid, buy yourself 3 from the very beginning, because you'll need like 2 for sure, and from the third you also need a part. So this is the gold I used. About the techniques, I made a little bit of changes. Originally, the design has to be stitched in, so the cross stitch has to be stitched in 3 threads. And then there is half stitch in 2, in 3, in 4, and in 5 threads. There are French knots, and there is back stitch. In my case, I made all the cross stitches not in 3 threads. I made them in 2 threads. Because on Aida 14, with the threads which were like in all dimensions, they were very thin, you see. That's why they're asking to use 3. In my case, I have job length 28th count, and I was sure that 2 threads are going to be enough. So all the cross stitches, in my case, they are 2 threads. There was a bit of a problem because there were 3 symbols which asked for blend, and the blend out of 3 threads, 2 were one color and 1 was another color. Out of these 3 blends, with 1 wasn't a problem because it was with gold thread, and I used 1 thread of Rainbow Gallery, 1 thread of cotton. So this is how I made it. But in other 2, I just didn't make it in 3 threads. I made it in 2, and I used like 1 thread, 1 color, 1 thread of the other color. So this is this greenish, I as far as I know here, and I am okay how it turned out. And it was a brown blend which was in her hair. So when I started doing like cross stitches with that blend, I saw how it looks with the whole design. I said it's okay, and I followed like that. Then the half stitches in 2, 3, and 4 threads, I made them according to the key. But the half stitch which they asked, there were 2 symbols asking to do the half stitch in 5 strands. I didn't make them in 5 strands. I made them also in 4 strands. Because usually they ask you to do it in 5 strands because the color of the thread is dark, and because the fabric is light, you need a lot of thread so that you would cover the space. In my case, the fabric is 28th count, and it covered perfectly. That's why I used the 28th, I used the 4 threads. I didn't use 5. And in such a way, I'm sure that I had enough threads, because if I have stitched as they asked according to the key, I wouldn't have had enough threads. Yeah. And what else? The French knots, pay attention. Usually when I'm doing the French knots, I'm doing like twice. I'm the swirl, or how they say, like on the needle. Yes, I'm doing like twice, and then I'm doing the French knot. Here they're asking you to do like the 1 turn, like around the needle, and then do the French knot. Just when they are telling you in the description to do twice around the needle, you do twice. And this is important because the French knots are different, and this makes the design beautiful, you see, because for example here the purple like French knots, purple flowers, they are larger. The white ones, they are much smaller here. The buttons here are smaller. These ones are even smaller here. So it's important to respect this rule, because you'll have the beautiful effect they wanted you to have when you are stitching it. Yes. And I made two changes in my case, except like the threads. As I said, the number of threads used for stitching. In her face there was a symbol which asked for half stitch in 3 threads. I didn't like how it looked on the face, the half stitch. That's why that symbol I made here the cross stitch in 2 threads. So this is a change I made. Then the bench here in the park, the white of the bench shouldn't be stitched. It should be like empty, you know, like when you have you stitch everything around with darker colors, and then it comes, if the fabric is light, it comes lighter. I did it like I stitched everything around, and when the bench was to be back stitched, I didn't like how it looked, you see, like those parts empty. That's why I took white thread and I made everywhere where I was not supposed to do any stitches, I made cross stitch, white cross stitch in 2 threads, and then I made the back stitch, and I'm happy with it. I don't regret, because I'm happy with it. I like how it looks, the bench. I made a mistake. I took the wrong brown, you see, like this orange brown, which you can see here. I took it wrongly, and I made like I cross stitch here the tree, and I cross stitch like here these edges with the wrong brown. I noticed it when I was like continuing stitching here, and I took already the right brown, and then I realized that I made a mistake here, and I repaired the mistake only on the tree, because on the tree it looked too reddish. I didn't like, so I changed here on the tree with the right brown. Here I didn't change because I have to look in the chart where is it. I have to rip off among the other stitches, and there is back stitch here. That's why, and here it's supposed to be, you know, like the edges of the or the soil. It's soil, and soil can be like so brown orange, I think so. And the design is very colorful, and I thought that it's not going to be a big deal. So if I haven't told you, probably you wouldn't have known that there is a mistake here. It's going to stay like this, because it would be too much of a fuss to do it like this. And my marathon. The thing is that in the beginning, I wasn't planning to stitch this design fast. I didn't even know how it's going to turn. But when I started stitching it, I started like from the center was here. When I started stitching it, I noticed that it was going super quickly, super nicely. And I told myself, what if I'm going to do, how it's called, a marathon, my personal marathon, to see how quickly I can stitch gold collection dimensions. This one is 29 stitches. 29,154, if I'm not wrong, stitches. Yes. And I didn't stitch it every day. I stitched it only on those days when I knew that I have the time for stitching. And more than that, I was stitching a lot during those days. Yes, I admit that I was racing. Usually I don't do this, but with this design I was racing because it was an experiment of mine. And ta-dam, I stitched the design in 20 days. 20 days, yes, I don't believe it. So 3 weeks. If you stitch every day, it's kind of like a 3 weeks. The most stitches I made in a day were 2,419. And there was one day when I made the less stitches is 674. Apart from this day, every other day it was 1,000 and something. And it was one more day when it was 2,000. But generally speaking, all the other days it was 1,000 and something stitches every day. Because I cross-stitched with Saga, with Cross-Stitch Saga, I mean the app, I could like trace my my result. So yes, I did it. I wouldn't repeat this experience because it was just for the sake of trying it and seeing it. It's not like something I will do regularly. And yeah, I just wanted to try myself to see what I'm capable of, and I saw. Again, very, very glad that I fulfilled this dream of mine, stitching this design. I like it very much how it turned to be. I'm falling in love more and more by the dimensions, and I'm sure that in future I'm going to stitch more dimensions. Stitching dimensions from scratch, I mean, not from the kit I have. So far, I don't have any plans. It doesn't mean that I won't do it. But so far I don't have any plans because I have some beautiful, beautiful kits in my stash as well. So yeah, probably I'm going to stick to my stash for the next kits. That's it. That's everything I wanted to tell you in this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it was interesting for you, and see you in my next videos. Until then, bye bye.